Hi, my name is April, and I'm a peaceful wife. We are going to talk about how sometimes we as wives pursue our husbands so much that really we're becoming kind of demanding at times and a bit needy, possibly. So let's talk about how we can back off a little bit sometimes, and how sometimes backing off a little bit can actually increase the intimacy. Earlier in our marriage, we've been married for 19 years now. I'm 40, and we got married when I was 21. And for the first 14 or so years of our marriage, I didn't understand any of this, and so I would constantly ask for attention. Why do you watch the TV so much? Why don't you care about me? Why is the TV more important than me? I want your attention. I want you to talk to me. I want you to turn off the TV. I want you to turn off the computer. You should want to spend time with me. Why don't you want to spend time with me? And I would I would try to make him spend time with me. I would try to verbally force him to do what I wanted, and I didn't realize that that doesn't work. When we do that much pressure and we demand things like that, and we come across as being very needy, and we make our husband completely responsible for our happiness and our emotions, it's easy for us to actually make them into an idol that we put before Jesus, and we become this black hole of need, and they can't satisfy us. Even if they do what we ask, we're not satisfied. We want more, we're never satisfied, because we're trying to get from our husbands sometimes what really only Christ can give us. So when we feel compelled to say what we want, and now we do need to say what we want. We do need to say what we need. That's great. But then we have to take our hands off of our husband's throats and let him decide himself what he's going to do. If I try to force him into things, that's not real intimacy. That's not real love. I talked to my husband about this issue last night because I was pretty bad about doing these things for a long time. And he said things like that it was too much pressure, that he knew he couldn't satisfy me even if he tried to do what I demanded. There were times he would do something and then I would want more, and then I would want more, and then I was still disappointed. I was still upset. I was still looking at him like he was a failure. That was pretty unmotivating for him. My husband said a husband in that situation is not trying to cause his wife problems. He just knows he doesn't have a chance. So at some point, a husband will eventually realize it is impossible to make this woman happy, so I'm not even going to try, and he'll just shut down. My husband talks about how he dreaded coming home because I would just verbally explode on him. Why didn't you send me an email? I sent you a long email. You didn't send me an email back. What, you don't love me? That pressure, that demand did not draw him to me. It repelled him, as I can understand now why it did. But he said that it was like playing with a lit stick of dynamite, just wondering when I was going to blow. And he also said that he knew that my expectations of him were so high that he had no chance. Husbands don't like to be seen as failures. In fact, they tend to measure their success as husbands a lot of times by the happiness of their wives. For Women Only by Shanti Feldon talks about that. And Laura Doyle in The Surrendered Wife talks about it too. If a wife is never happy, then a husband eventually gives up because he tries to carry that weight of making her happy, being responsible for her happiness. But the thing is that he's not responsible for my happiness. I'm responsible for my happiness. I mean, he can do things that bless me, that I enjoy, but I'm responsible for my happiness, and the only place I can really find contentment and joy is in Christ. I need to put all my needs on Him. I need to put all my desires on Him. He's the only one that can meet those needs. He's the only one that can perfectly accept me, perfectly love me, never fail me, and I can find my security completely in Him. My husband can't be Christ to me. He's human. He's a sinful human. He cannot meet those kinds of needs. So it's important for me to not turn my husband into an idol, which is what I used to do. I would ask him for like love letters and long emotional and spiritual conversations, but I would be critical of him, if he didn't say the right things, if he didn't do it the way I wanted. And he felt like if I was demanding that he do something and then he did it, that it really didn't count, that it really wasn't real. He wanted to do things because he wanted to do them, not because I said, you have to do this. He talks about that me wanting a long love letter from him felt as difficult to him as if he had asked me to just go build me a set of shelves, which I would have a hard time doing, I'm afraid to say. So what seems easy for me might not be easy for him. And then my expectations were so high, and then I wasn't finding my joy in Christ. I was trying to make my husband responsible for my emotions, my happiness, my everything, which was unfair. And my husband also talks about that guys don't ask other guys for affirmation or reassurance of how great they are or how much they like them. Like if a guy said to another guy, tell me how great I am, another guy will not answer that question, which is funny for me to think about a guy saying that. He also said, if I introduce you to my high school friend that played football with me and I said, hey, John, tell April what a great football player I was back in the day. Like, that would be weird. Guys don't do that. But if he didn't say anything, his friend would probably tell me about what a great football player he was. So we need to be able to, take our claws out of our husbands and give them some space. And that was a really hard concept for me because I didn't want space. I wanted connection. But when you have a healthy amount of space, there is a certain amount of space that everyone needs to have to be healthy. When you give your husband space in a healthy way, it actually can draw him to you. Husbands tend to like to be the one that pursues their wife. Now, if your marriage is going great and your husband loves you to initiate intimacy and stuff, awesome, do that. And I am not saying to give him the cold shoulder, to go away in silence and pout, to ignore him out of anger and resentment. No, that's destructive. But if you're able to give him some space, like say that you tend to call your husband 5 times a day while he's at work. Well, maybe one way of giving space would be don't call him unless you really need to. If he's feeling smothered, if he's shut down, he's not doing what you want, he's not coming to you, giving you the affection and attention that you want, try giving him some space. And I'm not talking about just for a day, I'm talking about from now on. And it will take a little work to figure out the balance, that's okay. But try not calling him unless you actually have an urgent need or a reason that you need to call him, and then keep the call probably kind of brief. I used to send my husband a 2,000 or 3,000 word email once or twice a day. And then he wouldn't email me back. And then by the time he got home, I would be angry at him that he didn't love me because he didn't send me an email. Well, sending a long, loving email is not his thing. He does love me, but he's not all those words and emotions and stuff, he doesn't feel confident about doing that, and it's not how he gives love. He gives love by putting gas in my car, fixing up the house, taking care of me when I'm sick, helping with the laundry, stuff like that, which he didn't used to do, by the way, when I was demanding, but now he does a lot of things around the house, now that I don't demand anymore, but I ask respectfully and let him choose what he wants to do. So not calling him all the time is probably a good thing. Not sending him a ton of emails and text messages and expecting an answer right back and expecting him to pay, tons of attention to you when he's at work. I mean, if he says he likes it when you do that, then awesome. But if he doesn't talk about that he really appreciates all the text messages and emails, then try backing off a bit and see how that helps. Like for a while, I would just send him a brief 2 or 3, 4 sentence email once or twice a week, and I'd tell him something that I genuinely respected and admired about him, and I'd thank him for things that he did around the house, things that he did for me. But I did not expect him to email me back anymore, because when you expect him to, like if you're doing something to get him to do something for you in return, that's love with strings attached. That's not real love. That's manipulation. I'm doing this, so now you owe me. That does not attract your husband to you. A couple other ways to back off. Don't say things like, did you think of me at work today? How many times did you think of me at work today? That's needy. And a lot of husbands don't think about their wives a lot at work. They're thinking about work. They think about one thing at a time. It's not bad. It's not wrong. It doesn't mean he doesn't love you. If your husband doesn't do every single thing you want him to do, it doesn't mean he doesn't love you. He may just have different priorities. He may feel smothered. He may feel like you're choking him and like he needs just a little space to breathe. As you're able to back off a little bit and take your needs primarily to God, then your husband may be able to come towards you. If he's rejecting you a lot sexually, he may be feeling disrespected. Figure out what is causing him to feel disrespected. You can look on my website. If you want to, there's a post at the top about a whole lot of things that can make a man feel disrespected. And there's a post about respect. My website is www.peacefulwife.com. Figure out how to be respectful when you're asking for things. I also have some videos about that, how to ask your husband for things so he'll want to say yes. Don't demand sex. Don't demand attention. Don't demand affection. It's fine to say what you would like. It's fine to say what you would want. Honey, I'm feeling kind of lonely. Would you please hold me for a few minutes? But then if he doesn't, then accept his no graciously. Don't try to force him into things, because then if he does it after you tried to force him, that's not real. It's not real. It's not, and he knows that, and you know that too. So giving him a little space to pursue you, giving him a little time where you're not always trying to get his attention, can actually bring him a lot closer to you. This is a huge topic. I have barely scratched the surface of it. I have a post about it today on my blog, which is September 6th, 2013. And I hope that you'll check it out. Again, my website is www.peacefulwife.com.